got a star-studded MLB doubleheader for you. First, Aaron Judge leads the Yankees against Mookie Betts and the Red Sox. Then Mike Trout and the Angels take on Francisco Lindor and the Indians. It all starts at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
Scoring a lot of runs, by the way, this year. Red Sox, Yankees are scoring a lot of runs. Giancarlo Stanton's still in the IL, isn't he? Yeah, he is. They were quiet at the deadline, much to the chagrin of, one John Goulet. Those games have been crazy, wild, run-heavy games. Before I get to Chris Sims, by the way, Julio Jones in the NFL.com list. The players voted him the 9th best player in the NFL. No problem with that. Great player, great work ethic, just been a total pro. He said he will not play in the preseason. I'm not sure if he told the Falcons that, but he has decided he's not playing in the preseason. I back players on this. I don't get the preseason. I think it's bad optics. The stadiums are empty. I think stars can get hurt. Rams last year said, we're not playing our stars. They got to the Super Bowl. Not a big fan of preseason football. College football's got a bunch of 18-year-olds. And they don't get to practice as long, and they don't need a bunch of warm-up games. So a bunch of 32-year-old NFL guys who can practice longer, it's a full-time job, don't have classes. I don't think they need 4 warm-up games. I don't love preseason football. I'll watch it. But like today, the Rams and the Chargers are having a joint scrimmage. I'm a big fan of that. Redskins, Ravens, 7, 8, 10, 12 joint scrimmages. I like those. Listen, the number one problem in the NFL, you can argue, is career length. So you should do anything you can to reverse that trend. Some of the most mythical, great stories in the NFL have been the extension of Peyton Manning's career, Brett Favre's career, Tom Brady's career, Drew Brees' career. These are great stories. The extension of an old veteran quarterback. We want more of those stories. I don't want my players hurt. I don't want my stars hurt. So I'm not a big fan of NFL preseason, though I will watch it. I'll gain some knowledge. But I feel increasingly there is a momentum towards stars not playing, and I am okay with it. I don't think it's great football, and I don't think generally it's, as players' salaries go up, the risk and reward for getting hurt in a meaningless game, the risk-reward now, the scales are unbalanced. The scale dominating is don't play or don't play much. Chris Sims, NFL analyst, NBC Sports, 5 years in the NFL, former Patriot coaching assistant, joining us on the phone today. By the way, when you were in the NFL, how did high-end players and marginal players, how do they view preseason?
Yeah, well, first off, 8 years of NFL. I just want to get that correct.
Okay, my bad.
That's all right. It's all good. We're still friends. I just don't want you to cheat me out of those last 3 years. Very important to me, okay? I'm not satisfied with 8 years as is, so I don't want it to go knock down to 5. But, yes.
In the NFL, former Patriot coaching assistant, joining us on the phone today. By the way, when you were in the NFL, how did high-end players and marginal players, how do they view preseason?
Yeah, well, first off, 8 years of NFL. I just want to get that correct.
Okay, my bad.
That's all right. It's all good. We're still friends. I just don't want you to cheat me out of those last 3 years. Very important to me, okay? I'm not satisfied with 8 years as is, so I don't want it to go knock down to 5. But, yes, I mean, you made a great point. You made all the great points, Colin. I mean, the star players, the guys, first off, in the caliber of class that a Julio Jones is, don't play him. Why would you play him? What do you need to do? You need to see Julio Jones catch a slant route one more time to make sure he's ready for the season. So between him, we see Aaron Rodgers, Adrian Peterson in years past, all those guys. It hasn't hurt them one bit. So I always, there's two different feelings in the locker room. Some guys, the star players, my feeling just around those guys, not that they didn't want to play, they wanted to play, but only to feel a little bit of the dress rehearsal, right? Just the schedule of the day. Okay, I get in the locker room at this time. I'm going to get dressed and kind of go through the real game approach. And then, okay, yeah, they might want to play one series just to get a feel of, let me get out here in live action again with people in the stands and all that. But that's all the star players needed. The preseason, to what you're saying, the great value is to the guys who are really young that are still being developed and the guys who are on the bottom end of the roster who can maybe show the coaches and the organization something special about themselves to earn a spot on the 53-man roster.
Were you surprised NFL.com players voted? So this is players who watch film, who sit in meetings, who hear their coaches break down quarterbacks. Cam was the 14th of 15 quarterbacks that made the top 100. Players had Jared Goff above him, Baker above him, Kirk Cousins above him. Did that surprise you? How much did it surprise you?
Well, it definitely surprises me. And, again, this is another thing that I think to be noted a little bit. Not everybody's voting on this in the NFL top 100 in the locker room. Not every football player in the NFL is paying attention to the NFL. That's another thing that I think is a bit unknown. I mean, a lot of guys just play football. They go home. They kind of know what's going on in the league, but they're not into I'm going to sit down on the couch and watch the Sunday night football game on NBC or watch the Monday night game the next week. They know who wins the next day, but they're not as invested as maybe you or I are, who we don't want to miss one snap. So, and then you talk about the film room and all those things. Yeah, but some guys in the league go a few years without seeing another guy on film for a long time. One of the reasons I'm friends with a lot of my coach friends in the NFL, because they like to call me week 10 through the NFL, because all they've seen on film is the teams they're going to play and their own team. And they call me to talk about ball and what's going on in the rest of the league and what's this team look like. So let's not think that every football player has a great gauge of what's really going on in the NFL. I am surprised by that low of a ranking. I mean, Cam Newton, to me, is a top 10 quarterback in football. And stats they can't quantify the greatness of a Cam Newton, Colin. Again, think about the team and the situation he plays for. One, he's never had great talent around him at the wide receiver position. They've always been into, we're going to kind of play defense and control the ball. So the passing numbers are never going to be sexy when your team mantra is that of what it is in Carolina. But the stats also don't justify all the problems that Cam Newton gives a defense on a week-to-week basis. Okay, we got to play Cam Newton this week. Whoa, we got to protect all the field down the field because he can throw 50-yard lasers down the field. Oh, gosh, man, the Carolina Panthers. Oh, gosh, Cam Newton keeps the ball. The quarterback design runs around the edge. Oh, the read option plays, the play action passes, then the normal running game. So he puts the defense in a severe handicap position because of his skill set before the game even starts. That's the greatness of Cam Newton. He's impossible to prepare for that way. He has a unique skill set, and anytime number one's on the field for the Carolina Panthers, they got a chance to win the game, when he's healthy, of course.
Yeah, which increasingly he has not been.
Right.
I always think noise is bad for the NFL. I think it's part of the NBA. But the NBA is everything from basketball theater to political theater to fashion theater. NBA is a different culture. NFL noise is usually a distraction. Cleveland is really talented, and God, they're in the news every single day. Does any of that worry you?
Well, it worries me, just the fact that not right now. They're in the news, right now with noise, but they're not causing the noise. And then if it is a little noise right now, it's some great clips about, Baker Mayfield talking that he's not a jackass. I'm not going to be a jackass. Of course I'm going to talk to these guys. So it's the right thing, at least from the team right now. They're playing football. Oh, there's a story about Baker Mayfield yelling at the wide receivers. Okay, great. Baker Mayfield, we know he's got phenomenal people skills and leadership skills, and I'm sure he felt like, he's got the right relationship that he can yell at his receivers during practice, and they won't take it personal, and it's all about getting better. But, no, only thing I worry about with Cleveland is not right now, but, if things get off to a slow start, and all of a sudden we're 2-4 or 2-5, it is a young team. Will it implode, or will they be able to bounce back and make themselves a viable playoff threat once again? Those are the things we got to see, because winning in the NFL, you hear that a lot, right? Like that phrase, it's not easy to win a game in the NFL, or you have to learn to win football games. It's very true. Managing situations, certain games, playing those situations the right way, it's all goes into winning football games. It's not easy. That's why it's amazing what New England does. New England hasn't lucked into 18 or 19 years of greatness. They're all over all these little situations, these little things that we maybe overlook on a Monday afternoon that went into winning the game on Sunday. And Cleveland is not battle-tested with that kind of stuff quite yet.
People sometimes forget that Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years, that players get better. They don't come into the NFL as a refine. We know this in basketball, where we see LeBron get significantly better year 2 to year 7. win.
Yeah.
But in football, it's the same thing. Dak Prescott was 7-1 in his last 8 games last year against 4 playoff teams. Completion percentage over 70. I know he's a first-round pick, but let's not forget, he's a kid. That's a lot of practice with NFL coaches, not Mississippi State. Are we undervaluing Dak? I mean, for most of his career, it's been he's overrated. Is it possible the light went on late last year when he got a legit receiver and that he's actually now better than we think and deserves a lot of money?
I'm with you, what you're saying right there, Colin. Yeah, no, he's a franchise quarterback. He's a $30 million a year quarterback. You know, again, if Jimmy Garoppolo is making 27.5, then damn, I know Dak Prescott deserves to make more money than that. He's proven himself more than Jimmy Garoppolo to this point. You know, so he's certainly in that range. I would expect when all said and done, he gets a contract that maybe just one-ups a Carson Wentz or something along those lines. You know, with you said it, and I think you're spot on. First off, you know, that's not an offense that's very easy on the quarterback there in Dallas. Again, I don't think we can quite quantify everything he brings to the table. Great leader, you know, tough as hell on the field, makes plays when nothing's there. There's a reason they fired their offensive coordinator and got a new one this year because, damn, they never change a formation, they never motion, they never shift. I mean, I could sit there and watch film if we sat there together the last few years, and I'd go, oh, they're in this formation, Colin, watch, this play's going to come. I guarantee it. And I would be right 8 out of 10 times. Very predictable offense. Also, not easy playing a quarterback in an offense that's always about the run game. You know, hey, rhythm, the reason we talk about rhythm and timing and doing things like that, you know, is because it is important for a quarterback. And it's not always easy to play a quarterback on a football team that's run left, run right, run left, run right. Oh, you know, it's 3rd and 10 now. We'd like you to hit the pass perfectly, even though we haven't had you throw a ball in 5 minutes. That's not always easy, and Dak Prescott delivers more times than not, and he showed with a little talent around him that he can make plays. And, Colin, I'm big into, you know, what's there to be had, do you take advantage of it, and then when nothing is there to be had, what do you do? And you talked about what his record was against the playoff teams. You watched the divisional game against the Los Angeles Rams. Not a lot of people open. They couldn't run the ball. Dak Prescott making runs for touchdowns, scrambling to the left, making a big throw down the left sideline. So I do think he kind of took that next step and certainly solidified himself as a franchise quarterback in the NFL.
8 years in the league, former quarterback Chris Sims, NBC Sports. Love having you on, buddy. Have a good weekend.
You too, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet. Joy Taylor with the news.